Today, joining us, Menia Kursansky, spokesperson for the Armenian Culture Center here in Israel. From Baku, joining us, policy analyst Fuad Shabazov and correspondent for the Israeli Daily Netta Bar. Thank you all so very much for joining us today. As our main topic, the phantom vanish magic trick. The Nagorno-Karabakh will be dismantled by the end of the year after the swift, resolute Azerbaijani military operation there. But an Iranian exodus is underway as we speak. So is declaring something does not exist mean it's actually going to disappear? Let's take a closer look and pick it up from there.
Running scared tonight. More than half of the population of Nagorno-Karabakh, the predominantly ethnically Armenian enclave in Azerbaijan, have fled to Armenia after Azerbaijan effectively seized control of the region following a 24-hour attack that rounded off a 10-month blockade. Both Armenia and Azerbaijan claim that Nagorno-Karabakh belongs to them, or, in Armenia's case, the autonomous Artsakh Republic. But it is internationally recognised as Azerbaijani, hence Baku's justification for the attack. Azerbaijani forces have arrested a former leader of the breakaway region, Ruben Vardanyan, on charges not yet made public, whilst the leader of Nagorno-Karabakh has said that the territory will cease to exist from the start of next year. Is this annexation and ethnic cleansing, or merely Azerbaijan claiming what is legally theirs? Armenia has blamed Russian peacekeepers on the border for being too lax, and Russia for having its priorities elsewhere. How much is Russia to blame for the situation, and should the West step in as peacemakers instead? How should Armenia respond to the military, political, and humanitarian crisis? What's next for the Armenian-Azerbaijani conflict?
All right, so let's get to it, gentlemen. What is next for the Armenian-Azerbaijani conflict? As always, we begin with our quick fire round, 30 seconds each to lay out your initial stance on the matter, and we take it from there. So, Menia Kursansky, please take the lead. Your 30 seconds are on.
Okay, what's next, at my opinion, and the situation was going on, is then another attack, another aggressive acts against already the Armenian Republic of Armenia. I doubt very much that President Aliyev will stop at that point, and he continues to conquer Armenia, to open a Zangezur corridor. So he will have the corridor that connects between Azerbaijan and Turkey.
All right, Fuad Shabazov, your thoughts, please.
Yeah, so the major part of conflict is over because, unfortunately, we're seeing a mass exodus of ethnic Armenians from Karabakh, even though the Azerbaijani government is keen to launch a reintegration process of the ethnic Armenian into Azerbaijani society within a few months. But still, I guess there's still people are in euphoria and scared. So this is very normal that we are witnessing the mass exodus from Karabakh.
All right, Netta Bar, your take?
I think what we're going to see is the completion of the exodus of the Armenians from Nagorno-Karabakh, and actually the end of a hundreds of years old community that lived there. And that's a community that the whole world need to look at and find a solution to not have anything like that to repeat itself in the area, because there is still a chance of further fighting and further suffering.
All right, and we will be getting further into the international involvement or lack thereof later on in our discussion. And from this point onwards, gentlemen, let's please feel free to respectfully, of course, interact with one another, to engage in a conversation. So let's start with the current state of affairs, looking towards the future. Fuad, are we witnessing the final act in this decade-long conflict, or the start of a new chapter?
No, from Azerbaijan perspective, it's a very final phase of the most protracted conflict of the post-Soviet region, because as you know, the Karabakh conflict has been the most long-term, most protracted conflict for 3 decades. And the Azerbaijani government, when today Samvel Shahramanian, the self-declared president of the unrecognized Karabakh Republic, set to seize the existence of the republic as of January of the next year. So with this process, the main narrative of Azerbaijan government is that this conflict is over, and despite despite this process, despite those narrative or statements, we are witnessing the mass exodus of ethnic Armenian community from Karabakh because the euphoria caused kind of a scare or fear, boost of fear among the ethnic Armenians, and forced them to leave the region, despite the Azerbaijan government issued guarantees that those ethnic Armenians, civilians, there are no problem with them to stay and there's a clear strategy, of course, which has not been made public for now, that there will be a reintegration of ethnic Armenians into Azerbaijan society very soon.
So Manny, is reintegration essentially ethnic cleansing?
I think that there is no chance that the Armenians could live in peace under Azerbaijani law. We saw the last aggression by Azerbaijan, where there was atrocities made by Azer's death squads against the civilian population. So that is the reason why Armenians, the majority of Artsakh, are living, because they have fear. My opponent is right; they have fear for their life, and they are right to do so, because history shows us that Armenians in Azerbaijan are in danger. It happened in Sumgait, in Malaga, also during the 90s. It happens again. So there is no chance that the Armenian could feel safe under their law. That's something that is just unreal.
And so, Neta, is it an unfounded panic or a fear based on experience? This exodus, that is.
No, I don't see an unbased panic. There is panic, but it is well within the framework of what we've seen in the past. And I want to say on a personal note, as someone who visited Azerbaijan in the past and who knows the people and met with them and have a liking to Azerbaijan, I'm truly disappointed to see that the Azeris did not make the necessary step in order to keep the civilian population within Nagorno-Karabakh assured and feeling secured enough to stay. There was no attempt from the Azeri government to assure the civilian population, to give it the medical supplies it needs, to give it the food it needs, and this tragedy is on Baku.
So, Fouad, vowing reintegration, as you've mentioned earlier, will there be anyone left to reintegrate at this rate?
So first of all, let me make some points clear about humanitarian aid or food. Food is provided, starting from the last week by Azerbaijan, and when this
what happened in 10 months ago? What happened 10 months?
Explosion.
Before December 2022, what happened from then? People are starving there. People are dying from hunger. But it's your fault. It's your government fault, my friend.
You have no report of
I have a lot of reports. I also have a lot of reports of atrocities made by your death squads. So don't tell me what I have and what I don't have.
Currently, I'm referring to Armenian media that there's no report of dying people from starvation.
Oh, really? Okay, so the blockade is propaganda, right? The closing of the Chinter passing is a propaganda, right?
Azerbaijan already provided humanitarian aid, and only today 30 tons of food provided for.
After 10 months of starvation.
You can check with.
After 10 months of starvation, you mean, right? Let's keep things on the table. At least don't lie.
For reintegration, about reintegration process. So. Of course, as I mentioned before, the people are a little bit scared, and the people are in fear living the region, because the same process happened in Georgia, when ethnic Georgians left Abkhazia and South Ossetia, despite the separatist governments in Ossetia
Of course, people want to live. People don't want to die by killers.
Civilian Georgians can stay, but Georgians did not stay in Abkhazia and South Ossetia. So we cannot be sure that Armenians or some part of Armenians, ethnic Armenians, will not return to Karabakh, which will be a little bit upset because I hope that some ethnic Armenians
please address the atrocities made by Aliyev soldiers. Please do that. Please address the atrocities made by Aliyev soldiers against civilian population. The cutting of the ears, the cutting of the throats, the rape of the women, the elimination of entire Armenian villages by troops. Please address that issue.
Okay, if we are talking about the past, I can recall the same by the Armenian armed groups in Karabakh in the 90s. So you can deny that the fact that this violence was one-sided. First of all, violence in Karabakh was not one-sided.
Now, Prime Minister Pashinyan declared
it has never been one-sided.
It was always one-sided. The Armenians reacted to programs from Baku, in Sumgait and Malaga, the Operation Ring. That's what you're doing now. This is your method. This is the Turks' method. Actually, you learned from your big brother.
What was the prelude? What was the prelude of Sumgait events? Events in Kafan, yeah? Ethnic Azerbaijanis from Armenia.
No, you are lying. It was the desire of the people of Artsakh to be part of Armenia as by the Soviet law in the time.
I'm talking about Kafan, not Karabakh.
Well,
I'm listening right now.
Netabal, maybe you can
geographic locations.
Maybe you can chime in here. Yeah.
Well, there's a very, very, very long historic score between Azeris and Armenians, and I think that in the end, what's happening right now, it doesn't matter. What needs to happen is that government in Baku will take steps to assure civilians that there is no need to flee. There needs to be an international intervention. It is obvious that Russia, that has been the mediator so far, is not doing a very good job. And since Turkey is very well connected to the Azeri side, there has to be someone from outside coming and being leader in this situation.
All right, Manny, before we take a break and again address the international outlook on this regional conflict and the other way around, is it the end for Pashinyan?
I don't think so, because actually I think that Pashinyan had made a wise choice by despite the fact that this land is historically Armenian. I'm not going to get into our historical part right now, because what is method what's happening now. But by declaring Nagorno-Karabakh as part of Azerbaijan, he committed himself for the war towards the peace in the region. And the result is you say exodus, which is not the right term at my point of view. That's ethnic cleansing. And the genocide, which is going on right now. That's not my words. That's a statement from the Lemkin Institute of Genocide.
Yeah, definitions may vary, but the situation on the ground is crystal clear. Gentlemen, you're staying with us. We're taking a very short break, but when we get back, is this conflict hijacked by international stakeholders? Do not go anywhere. We're back in a few minutes. Welcome back to the summit. Still with us, Manny Khersansky, Fouad Shabazov, and Neta Bar. Thank you, gentlemen, for staying with us. We're also, of course, staying on topic. But before we get back to our conversation, let's take a listen to the view from Washington.
I certainly do not think Russia has played a productive role here in the past week. We have seen them at times. There have been times where they facilitated negotiations, and that was something that we welcomed. But certainly in the last week, their role has not been productive in this situation.
Gentlemen, another quick fire round, 30 seconds each, and we take it from there. Is Russia to blame for this flare-up? Fouad Shabazov, please take the lead.
what we've seen in the last 2 years that the Western actors like the European Union and the United States took a very big initiative to intervene to the peace process and make a peace or broker peace between Armenia and Azerbaijan, while Russia was a bystander. But what we have seen from the last months, unfortunately, the Western countries did not manage to offer a roadmap for both sides, and Russia intervened and outplayed Western countries and became and maintained the key role in this process.
Netabar, your thoughts?
I don't know if Russia could be to blame for the situation because it's a.
Yeah, we're having.
What's obvious is that Russia lost.
Yeah, we're having some technical difficulties. Hopefully, we can fix them as we go. Many Kursansky, your take, please.
I think that in the last violent attack by Azerbaijan, Russia had failed because there are peace troops there. Their main goal is to protect the Armenian population, which you see what happened to the population. That's why the people are leaving their land in which they lived for 1,000 years ago, long before Azerbaijan had been existed on the maps. So yeah, Russia did fail in this sense.
All right, gentlemen, let's please again feel free to respectfully interact, and hopefully we can restore the solid connection with Netabar. But Many, I do want to begin with you. Should Western powers intervene now, or is it too late?
Well, first of all, the sacred thing is life, so it's never too late. Even though that Artsakh is going to lose its native population, they are alive. They are not in good situation because of the genocidal political by President Tel Aviv, which I don't blame the Azeri people. I blame the President Tel Aviv, who is doing everything he can to have hatred within Azerbaijan towards the neighbors. But nevertheless, I think that the Western power should interfere, because this is, like I told you before, this is ethnic cleansing. It's not exodus, and it's also, I think its definition is genocide right now. So yeah, Western powers have to interfere, so this won't happen again.
Netabar, let's give it another shot.
Yes.
Yes, please. Do you think Western powers should chime in at this point in time?
Yes, I'm sure intervention is always a good idea, especially where there is such a big humanitarian crisis right now. I think the conflict shows how much Russia lost power in the region. And it's maybe even a hint for us Israelis to look at it and see that Russia cannot be trusted with a major international issue because it is bogged down to its neck in Ukraine.
For Chibazov, is it to an extent another nail in the European mediation efforts coffin, because it was all under the auspices of some sort of EU-backed talks?
Yeah, because when the war in 2020 just happened, the Western actors like the European Union, especially European Union, just appeared to be a bystander. So they were not able to intervene. And just after 2 years, starting from 2021, the EU proposed its mediation efforts to bring Armenia and Azerbaijan to the negotiation table and offer a roadmap and reach a consensus on several matter of issues. But Azerbaijan's main demand through this process was that those Armenian armed groups based in Karabakh should be dismissed according to Azerbaijan constitution, because since it's they're internationally recognized theaters, the armed groups cannot be deployed on its territory. And but still, the EU and the United States were not able to bring consensus. And in the last phase of the conflict, when we have seen Azerbaijan were unsatisfied with the EU sort of Western countries' involvement, because there's a main perception that the West did not show enough enthusiasm to involve, while Russia being isolated from the process for 2 years immediately feel the security gap or power gap, maintaining and outplaying West and demonstrating that it's still the key country that maintains key from major regional conflicts, including Karabakh.
Yeah, regional conflicts to an extent hijacked by foreign stakeholders time and time again. But back to this region, does it mean the Armenian-American bond or connection is over, or is it going to get stronger?
Well, I think it will be stronger because now the world has awakened and everybody sees who is the aggressor and who is the victim. Now, to what Mr. Shavazov said, you know that when the genocide of the Armenian nation started in Turkey, that Azerbaijan is learning from it. The first step was to enlist all the men to the Turkish army. Same it was happened now. They said that we should clear the Nagorno-Karabakh from some kind of military units there, which weren't there. So it was attack against civilian population. That's it. That's what's going on. People, please wake up. The world should know what's going on for real, not using the propaganda from Azerbaijan. I know that there is oil and there is a lot of geopolitical issues, but lives is more important than gas or oil. Please wake up, world. Don't make another Armenian genocide by the same nation.
Netta, what are we to see? Yeah, Netta, what are we to see from this point onwards when it comes to the global superpowers actions when it comes to this dispute?
I think the most visible thing right now is Turkey's dominance in this area of the Southern Caucasus, since Russia lost its premiership in the area. And what I would expect to see is that the Europeans and Americans putting more pressure on Turkey to balance things within the South Caucasus area and to contribute to a more solid and stable situation in the area, not to flare up further conflict.
For Shabazov, is it the end of Azerbaijani territorial aspirations, or again, just the beginning perhaps of a new one?
No, actually, right after this military operation ended, Aliyev publicly addressed the nation, saying that actually he said that he's thankful to the Armenian government, to the Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan government for his non-interference, for his non-interference into the process, and said that Azerbaijan has any claims to the Armenian territory and also expressed his positive attitude that after this conflict ended, there will be a chance for establishing diplomatic relations with Armenia and starting normalizing the ties. Because those two nations have been living together for more than two centuries. And it's a little bit of nonsense to think that those two nations one day wake up only to be sworn enemies.
You lived only 100 years, so how could we live together for 200 years? Just a question.
Well,
the independent Armenian Republic also existed for 100 years.
I'm talking about the nation. I'm talking about the nation, not the Republic
perhaps
or the kingdoms.
the emphasis here should be on the ability to live together side by side.
I don't believe a world. I think that Azerbaijan will definitely, if he had a chance, attack Armenia and to open the corridor, what I mentioned before. So I don't trust President Aliyev because, like we told, President Aliyev promised the full integration of the Armenian community. You see, cleansing.
Gentlemen, so, unfortunately, this is all the time we have. Thank you so very much for your time, for your insight. We appreciate it. Hey, I see you liked it. Want more? Just hit the subscribe button right here. Go on. I know you want to.